It's May 2014. The Vauxhall International Northwest 200 motorbike race is in full swing, with hundreds of thousands of spectators flocking to the world-famous Triangle Circuit on the north coast for a weekend of petrol-burning and high-speed thrills. For some though, a weekend relaxing and enjoying the bikes is far from reality. With Ireland's unpredictable weather patterns and rain never too far away, the GRASSMEN are in full swing, road races or not. I'm almost through my second cup of coffee. Well, actually, it's probably my third or fourth today, but I suppose we just come in the last series we were talking about Donkey Contracts and the absolute burst of Kirsty Ward onto the scene, but we also talked about how it was a tough production. It was a difficult production. There were so many machines, so many moving parts, so much happening in that DVD that we needed to ease it back. The next DVD was just something, what I wanted to do was just back to old school GRASSMEN, what we did. And so the next DVD then was basically back to the traditional days, a three-parter. We called it Westbound and Down. I suppose the reason for that, and it's made a bit like, the idea behind that was like an Irish roadside. And we were over in the west. We were with Martin Becket, Iceman Becket in Galway. And the guys that we had in this were a little bit unknown. It was these boys called Killen Brothers. We didn't really know who they were. At this time, we didn't really know who they were. I defy many people watching this now to not know who the Killen Brothers are. But didn't really know them, but we knew they were a group of young guys pushing on at the contract, and we knew they were doing well. That's all we knew. Who's the boss?
Everybody has their own departments. Gordy would be in charge of the cows, I would be in charge of the stock, Rob would be in charge of the accounts. My job on the contracting then would be mostly mowing the grass and ploughing. Well, actually, I do all the mowing, so I do, but my brother Adam will drive the second fleet if it's needed, but mostly I do all the mowing myself, and I do all the ploughing. As for the yard work, I'm in charge of rearing all the stock, all the young stock, all the beef cattle. I do all the book work, as in quality assured, single farm payment, all that sort of stuff. That would be my job. I'd have to hold hands up to that.
What services do you offer?
Anything we have the equipment for, or can get the equipment for, but silage, slurry would be a big push here, but we'd try and push on everything else.
But who earns the most money?
Robbie. He does the accounts, he makes the most.
I would actually be in charge of the paperwork of the whole thing, the accounts. I would make a decision what tractors we buy, if we're going to buy a tractor, if we need a tractor. If I think it's going to stay another year, it'll stay another year. I also would we grow 210 acre crops. I would look after them. We do 100 acre whole crop and I'm 110 acre between corn, barley and wheat.
What's it like working with your family and your brothers?
Oh, I the very best. Fight, but no boxing yet, just arguing, we get on not too bad.
We always said at night time we're always chatting anyway, so we are nearly.
Who's the best crack?
Probably the youngest, Gordy, I would say. He seems to get the most handlings.
What's your job?
Cows and raking.
How long have you been working with the cows?
Pretty much since I was more or less young any age.
What age are you?
18.
And you've been at the contract in a good 4 or 5 years as well.
No. I tell the teacher more lies than anything right now.
If you had your choice between cows or contract, then what would you put first?
Gladly cows. Parlour starts at 4 o'clock in the morning, that's it.
Many cows are you milking now? Or
300 there now going through.
If you could describe yourself in one word, what would it be?
Unique.
Talented.
Positive.
Brilliant, but that'd be very cocky, wouldn't it?
Keen.
Hard working.
Why do you say this?
Well, we start every morning. This farm starts at 4 in the morning, and maybe not stop at all. Just depends the time you get read up.
What's it like working with brothers?
At least you don't carry everything on your own shoulders. You're able to share it around.
And when you stood out in the field videoing and watching these guys work, absolutely flat out, pushing the world in front of them, do you realise these guys are on to something here? They are disciplined, they are hard working, they are going places, and they work so well together. And you leave and you say to yourself, how's that going to work in the future, and things like that always running through your mind. Well, delighted to say, if you stay tuned for the next few episodes, we'll be able to talk about them again. As I said, Martin Becket, all the way from Galway, we wanted to get back down south, move, travel, see something a wee bit different. Over in the west, we were always told the west of Ireland was wet and difficult and hard work. So we thought it was time to go back and, you know, someone that has issues and wet ground and tough conditions. I suppose like a Barry Reid type character is what we were really and truly after, if that's telling the truth. Never in my Nelly, as they say, did I expect to see such a well-run, organised, disciplined team working in and around Galway. Not that I expect to see big Volvo shovels, 320 Komatsus, 4 wagons, self-propelled fusion balers. That was just not expected. Just wasn't expected to be working as hard as it was, and it really was working that hard. Had like wagons on ball and spoon hitches. Just that time for me was like one of the innovators of technology. Had John Deere with one of the first direct drives, trying it in the road. All of these things were coming through from Martin Becket at that time. A real cool customer.
So I changed the harvester every couple of years. We had 2 6.810s, and then we went along to a 6.850. That was coming up to 0.1. In 0.2 I bought a 6950. I had the option to buy Class a couple of times and didn't change from John Deere. When it came to change, there was very little in the difference between the Class. It was a bit more expensive than John Deere, so I made the plunge and I bought the first 870 in 2004. It was a great move at the time then. I do feel the Class have an edge on John Deere when it comes to harvesters.
And then, last but by no means least, Bob the Gaffer McConaghy. McConaghy Contracts. And I'm just going to read what it says in the back here, because I actually think I wrote this, so if it doesn't read right, I'm sorry. A real legend in the contracting business. Bob the Gaffer McConaghy undoubtedly runs one of the most respected and tidiest fleets in an area of outstanding natural beauty. That's the truth. Bob McConaghy operates in an area up in the Northampton coast where I grew up. When I was a young nipper whipper, just got my tractor licence, I would have done work with McConaghy's. When you're carting silage, night's coming down and you can see the ocean and lights of towns nearby, doesn't get better. Actually, there's many nights that you're cruising about and looking out over some of that scenery, and you'll say to yourself, life doesn't get better, and that's a fact. And that's one of the reasons I really wanted to go to McConaghy's, apart from the fleet that they run, apart from the fact that Bob himself is an absolute legend. They work in one of the most beautiful scenic parts in the world. But that's basically Westbound and Down covered, and it's up there with one of my favourites. But I'm not going to lie to you, Bob McConaghy is probably my reason for that, because he is one of the key influencers in my life who who put the passion for grass machinery into me. Of that, I have absolutely no doubt, and for that, I have to thank him.
So you're still working with the blue scrap then?
You left one some years back with your tail between your legs when you took out the green one.
I know, but I was set up. We'll say no more about that in reverse.
He was considered one of the guys around home with the outfit, the professional outfit, and absolutely loved watching them work. When you're young and your dad would pull up alongside the hedge, and you'd look over the hedge and you'd see these guys working, and it was just phenomenal. Back in the days of the 7.6.10s, 7.8.10s, that was phenomenal, just watching them. And always enjoyed a conversation with Bob, still enjoy a conversation with Bob. And if you're about that place, Bob will always take time, show you around, show people around, just a true gent. I mean, I'm not so sure about the son Robert. No, I can't say that, I'm only joking, Duracell.
The sins of the father are hidden behind. I don't know whether you're aware of the figure, but the figure is in excess of €150,000.